Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and as you can see, we are getting back to our HUD Section 8 series. And, of course, we are very much showing you directly just how easy it supposedly is to game the system. When people say such things, you know they have absolutely no idea what these programs even are, what they actually do as opposed to what they imagine they do, or any idea on how so-called easy it is to so-called defraud these programs. So, I'm doing what I'm always doing, all the time and every day, by going over exactly how difficult it is to be able to be determined eligible for these programs, what that criteria is, what you would need to do to try and stay on these programs, which is, for lack of a better word, a feat of engineering. And well, you've been on me with this ride for so far. So, we're going to continue today by going into public housing. But first, brief disclaimer, anything that we go through while we are covering HUD Section 8 and the possible cuts that can essentially disembowel the entirety of the program, you're going to find everything we go through right there in the description box with the links all posted up for you. That way, if you'd like to do a little bit of deep diving on your own, or would just like to learn a little bit more about programs like HUD, like the different areas of Section 8, and you're definitely welcome to do so. Now, we do want to mention, trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. One of those reasons is profanity, because I curse like a sailor. And I admit, I am not very good at filtering myself these days. And also, we do cover some very dark topics on this channel, like Judge Rothberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, where you will hear some vivid descriptions of and see clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabilities getting tortured and abused. So if you have someone that is 16 years old or younger watching this channel, parental supervision is very much advised. Political trigger. If you are gung-ho for one party or the other, I am not. More than likely, throughout the course of these multiple series I am now currently juggling, I'm probably going to say something that is going to offend you. If that is something that bothers you, I don't mind if you pause these videos, but I do still encourage you to take a look at the information. Okay? Alright, so, without further ado, public housing. What is public housing? So, in regards to Section 8 in HUD, public housing provides affordable rental homes to people with low income, seniors, and people with disabilities. Public housing comes in all sizes and types, from single-family houses to high-rise apartments. Out here we have one particular unit that's known as the Jerry Lind Apartments, that are part of, well, not fully downtown, but close to the downtown area, which is an older high-rise that are, like, we're still working together with local disability advocates for they can finally fix their elevator, but another topic entirely. But it's places like that. There's a few houses for families here and there. A good majority of where you're going to find those are going to be like out Ozark, Nixa area, but a few out in the main city as well. Now you'll see more like public housing in cities and states that are far bigger and more metropolitan than ours, like out in New York and some different places out in California. But when they refer to public housing, that's usually what they are speaking of. Places that were built with the intention in mind that this was going to be public housing for individuals with low income or individuals who are on limited income, like our elderly folks and people with various different types of disabilities who are on fixed incomes due to Social Security or supplemental security income. Let me go ahead and continue. Local public housing agencies, PHAs, manage public housing properties. Your local PHA will review your case and determine if you qualify for this benefit. So that's all right here. I'm not going to really go over that. Find out if you qualify for public housing. Your eligibility for public housing is determined by your local PHA, and this is what it's based on. So here's the criteria. Your annual gross income. Now remember, that's about the same for everyone in your general area. So out here in particular, gross income is got to be sitting about around 41,000 and below if you're a single person. If you qualify as a senior, a person with a disability, or a family, again, that's what may mean there's specifically apartments built for individuals who are on fixed incomes or on lower incomes. Now, I want to disincline you from listening to the Republicans in regards to folks who may be a bit lower income who are not necessarily a senior or an individual with a disability. The term working poor has come to truly replace what used to be the middle class here in America. The reality of the situation right now is people who used to be blue collar are right now, let's face it, the working poor. These are individuals who really don't get real livable wages. A lot of jobs that are available right now in our current economic climate is fast food and call centers. As an individual who's forced myself to live off of both, it's damn near impossible unless you've got a roommate. And even then, you are stretching yourself thin to try and make it. Okay? Us working poor aren't looking around for a handout. We are not looking around to game the system. We would just like to be able to get a platform, a way of having a safe place to come home to, so that we're able to work on improving our own situations in a safe place. Okay? The places that are hiring are not the high-paying jobs. Out here, they're not looking for CEOs. They want call center agents. They want medical assistants. They want the individuals who take your blood if you have to go into the ER and put in your tubes. I know the name, I just can't think of it. And they don't pay a lot at all. And a lot of us out here, myself included, we all have roommates just to make it. Now, we're doing fine right now between the two of us. Roommates or not, we're still doing well. When I was by myself, it was hell. Hell. But anyways, they're just looking for a safe place to be for a moment while they try to figure things out to better their own lives. But they are working, believe it or not. My brother right now is a warehouse worker. And he's making about $18 an hour. At the same time, if you add in the cost of what an apartment would be, plus his car payment, his insurance payment, his groceries, utilities, especially in the summer out here in our state, that tends to skyrocket, taking usual energy bills from being about around $60 jumping up all the way up. I've had mine jump to over $200 in August, which is by far the hottest month of any Missouri summers. It is like sheer, like Dante's ninth circle of hell has manifested on Earth kind of heat. Okay. Even with his type of good job, he'd have to have a roommate, like I do. Which is right now why he's staying at the house with our parents, because A, they're getting older, and he would rather be out there with them, especially since they insist on living out in the middle of nowhere, so he makes sure that somebody's always out there in case they need him, and he helps around the place. Otherwise, yeah. Just because we're working poor doesn't mean that we are unemployed. Does not mean we are trying to game the system. Doesn't mean we're all a bunch of fraudsters and shysters. Your fraudsters and shysters are people like Elon Musk. Okay? But anyways, let me continue. U.S. citizenship or immigration status. Of course, you have your local public housing to learn if you are eligible. How to apply, you can do that by finding your local public housing agency. Now, for me, Section 8 and SNAP back in the day was in the same building. Literally in the same building. So, I had to enter on one side of the building to do any renewals or any updates I needed to do for SNAP. And then I had to take my Accorda file, go out that hallway, circle completely around the building, go into the other side, and then renew anything I needed to do with HUD. Because if I didn't, that help would go away. And during that time period, yeah, $650 to cover everything was not going to cut it. So, I wanted to go ahead and include that. So, public housing, the criteria you have to hit to qualify. And let's also make known, especially when you are in a bit of a smaller city, an opening for public housing, you're usually on a waiting list for multiple years. Literal multiple years. In fact, that's why they came up with the ideas of subsidized rental housing and housing choice voucher. Because if all we had was simply the public housing, people would be on the waiting list until the time of judgment when the final trumpet sounds. And we're going to be talking a lot more as we go through all these series in regards to waiting lists, because I don't really think individuals who are in our current GOP even actually understand how that all works, how stressful it is. But for now, in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and close out for this one. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you folks would be so kind, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I do want to apologize that I'm kind of flubbing a little bit with my language. As things continue to go sideways, and the news keeps piling on with more and more insanity, it is getting a little bit stressful. I will probably at least give myself a little bit of a break. I do a lot of pre-recordings, so I'll probably kind of relax on that. But yeah, when I do get to this special level of tired, that's when my ability to speak starts getting a little bit jumbled, and I'm not quite as quick on my feet, and I start to forget some words here and there. I apologize, and I appreciate your patience with that. It is an autistic thing. And folks, I really do hope you have a good one. I will see you next Sunday, in which case we'll be covering rental assistance for specific groups. Bye, everyone.